I've choked, and now it's time to do the
Schlagenheim remover.
Wait, is it Schlagenheim?
Schlagen.
Okay, Schlagenheim. We're going over Black Midi. Schlagenheim. Black Midi, experimental rock quartet consisting of Georgie Greep. That's the best name ever.
Yeah.
He must be from Northampton, because that is a fake name if I've ever heard one. Matt Kwasniewski. Calvin. I know Calvin. Yeah, whatever you said. Cameron Picton and Morgan Simpson. Their name is actually from the Japanese music genre, consisting of compositions that use MIDI files to create a song remix containing large number of notes, typically in the thousands, millions, billions, or even trillions. So it looks like just one solid black line when you open the MIDI, or at least the keypad or whatever. I first was introduced from because people were talking about the track Talking Heads that they released earlier this year. It had light shades of both Talking Heads and surprisingly Primus. I forget how I'm supposed to actually
Primus.
I know. I pronounce, like, we have this joke that I pronounce it the wrong way and I continue to it. Now I'm at the point where I don't know which one's the correct one. So the joke has just gone to the point where I'm just clueless.
The joke became real.
But the track also had a weird, like, skate punk kind of vibe to it, with the signature hectic nature that Black Midi's kind of offering in this current moment. They take the name from their namesake. It feels like a lot of moments, like, the instruments are just all wailing on top of each other. Not to the point where it's bad, but it weirdly works. It's just very tense and hectic.
Yeah.
And has you in a chokehold. The Wikipedia background on this album, because Wikipedia is the greatest resource known to man and sometimes dolphins. The band recorded a majority of Schlagenheim over a 5-day period with producer Dan Carey. Throughout its recording, the band made their conscious decision not to replicate their live set, which is good. Good idea. Yeah. Embellishing their 4-piece setup with synthesizers, sequencers, drum machines, banjos, and organs, as well as the music was developed organically through extensive jamming sessions. Yes, this is how you make music. That is how you make music. I hate artists that just replicate their fucking sets. You jam, you perform some live sets to yourselves, and then you pick the ideas that work. Fucking love that idea. But you don't just perform your live sets because that's boring. This is one of the more interesting rock releases in the last, like, decade.
Yeah, it's
because it's new. It feels new.
It covers a lot of ground.
Yeah. Which I think it can also be seen as a downfall.
It can be, and I think it does hurt this album a little bit, is like how all over the place it is.
Because you get to the point where it's like cowboys, and it's like, I'm weird because I make music and people call me weird.
Yeah. And
that was a very overt simplification of it, but yeah.
Yeah, and actually when I first was like getting ready to listen to this album, I actually got really worried. Because when I looked and I was like on Spotify, I was like, all right, let's listen to this. I saw their first like fans also like was Drala. And I was like, oh, God, it's just going to be the same thing over and over again.
More garage rock. Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, fuck. And I heard the first track where it did like the sudden switch into like the noise elements. And I was like, oh, God, this is literally just going to be Drala again. And then it wasn't.
Yeah.
And that alone made this album like so much better just because of what I was expecting.
This is, I think... I don't want to do full track by track, but I feel like there's a lot of tracks to mention on this. So 953, it's all about this idea where some of the lyricism of a track. Please stop all this strange fantasy. This is not who you are, not who you want to be. How people are telling you in life, you're not this, you're this, or you should conform to their ideas of this. But it has that hectic nature where everything feels like it's going after once. This very hectic, not chase, but not talking heads. Black Midi has you by your collar essentially with their music. Yeah. It's really interesting. Speedway, this like really slow track where the bass is very present, and like you get this mumbling vocalism with a honey, we won't build this to code. Honey, we won't build it. It's just like I love the lyricism on that, how it's very improvised. I'm talking about how they're going to do music their way, which goes back to their setup, which really works. I like that idea. Near Detroit, Michigan, talking about Flint, Michigan, which is an issue that needs to be brought up more. I heard they have a plan to get clean water now, which is good. But
it took fucking long enough.
It took like 20 more years than it needed to. But just one of the vocalists screaming, there's lead in the water, there's lead in the water. That is their most punkish on here, I think. More hardcore punkish on here.
Yeah, I'd say it's their most hardcore, except maybe bmbmbm,
Yeah.
where the vocals feel like he's just like channeling the Dead Kennedys.
Yeah, but bmbmbm is more funky and
It's-
groovish.
Well, it's just why
It's
Dead
also an
Kennedys.
audio.
The Dead Kennedys are like really good because they mixed punk with like groovier elements,
Yeah.
and then like Jello's insane vocals.
Yeah. Then we get into Western, which has it's all talking about this codependent relationship, which leads one person to shoot another one in a standoff. It has this what's the term for Western music? I can't think of it. There's a term, not slow dive. It'll come to me in a second.
Yeah.
But it has this very Western feel, where not Western as in opposed to Eastern, but like the genre of film making, where it feels very dusty, old, decrepit. Some lyricism saying, after all the shitty things that you've done for me, I left you in a ditch, and then going on, but after all the pretty things you've done for me, I left you in a ditch. After the shootout, you just shot him, left him in a ditch. Very interesting idea of codependency, of how one, you want the other person dead, but at the same time you don't because you need them.
Yeah.
But at some point it's got to end because it has to. I really like the lyricism, but all played out in a vibe that makes it feel like a Western, which
Yeah.
is really cool. It's a really long track. It's 8 minutes. Doesn't feel like that. I get
No.
lost every time. Very
Yeah.
surprised. I'm like, oh, this is going to be 8 minutes. And I listen to it. I'm like, oh, that was a great 8 minutes. I loved it. Then we go into moments like Schlagenheim. I said it right that
Yeah,
time.
God, right that
Okay,
time.
cool. Which is, it's the word for hit home in German, and it's a phrase that applies to the realization of uncomfortable and unsettling and even painful truths. So on tracks about these very painful truths that people are kind of realizing.
Yeah.
And then we get BMBMBM, which is this kind of like this pervert talking about how this one woman moves with a purpose, and all these other guys are kind of like just sucking themselves off, but she
Yeah.
doesn't care because she moves with a purpose, kind of glorifying this one woman. But it has this weird like off killers style. It reminds me of this one Run the Jewels track where they get this one feature in, and he's just this weird kind of perverted, and the vocalist they have on top of it, it's just twanginess that his voice has is what makes tracks like Talking Heads, their single that's not on this album, so amazing because it's just so weird. It's just like
It's almost like, especially like on this track, like it's going into a character.
Yeah.
Which is something like why I mentioned Dead Kennedys, is like that's something Jello would do a lot in their tracks, is he had like two distinct singing styles. He had the one, actually had like five. He had a lot. But he had two, they came in two different like groupings. The first grouping was like his basic like making a statement. This is where you get songs like Nazi Punks Fuck Off, where he's just making like a blanket statement, just telling things how it is. And then you have the ones that he'd use for like Soup is Good Food and Buzz Bomb, where he was like playing a character, and that's where he'd exaggerate elements of his voice and go like either really like low pitch or really high pitch.
Yeah. Then we get moments like years ago where I think they're actually having a lot more fun because they are making reference to, I think it's an Atlanta rapper that was on a Public Access show, and he goes, years ago they tried to put me in a, because he was supposed to freestyle and he just didn't. He was bad at it. And they do that a little bit, and then they go, years ago they tried to throw me in a payphone. It's all about reminiscing on the past and how they kind of evolved since and where they're going. And then Ducter is all about a survivor of sexual assault and how the survivor of sexual assault is not broken by the person who has committed sexual assault. The lyricism keeps on saying, he could not break me. He could not break me. And I think I will be this person for the remainder of my days. I keep on saying this every day or something along the lines of that. So, yeah, I think this album's very weird. I think it falls under the uncanny weird, which is good. Uncanny weird, best weird.
Yeah.
You don't want to go too weird because then it just becomes boring.
Yeah, and
too much of a good thing is a bad thing.
And like we just talked about with like Poppy, it doesn't feel like a forced marketing weird. It
Yeah.
feels like a genuine, like, just they're playing characters because like they feel the need to play these characters when they play the characters, and other times they just feel like themselves.
Yeah. I'm gonna have you answer this one. Are the themes too all over the place?
Themes, no. I think having themes be more all over the place can work, especially in this type of music. I don't think your themes need to be like laser focused or like tightened. You can have just broad shotgun albums that are just hitting a lot of topics.
Do you think it has a problem because there's so many different storylines going into this, and all it covers so many topics and so many places? does it have an effect on where the album flows? Because for me, I don't really think it does, but I think it also could.
Yeah, I don't think the themes affect the album flow. I think some of the style variations affect the album flow. Like they stylistically seem to be,
which is also a good thing, because I feel like for an album of this length, it's around 43 minutes. You need that differentiating style places.
So like I think it could, and I think sometimes it maybe like hinders it a little bit, but I think as a whole, it doesn't like bring the album down that much.
Yeah, there's so many things that this album's working for. It's style and character up to boot. There's so many risks and lyricism and performance that we're taking. And yeah, is it an essential project?
I think so.
Yeah, I think it's an essential project. I really enjoy it. Keep in mind that all scores are futile and meaningless. Right now, I'm feeling a -5 out of 10. No, I'm just kidding. I'm feeling a 9. I really like this.
I'm feeling an 8.
Yeah, 8 to 9.
Yeah.
That's probably where I am in the current moment.
Give it 8.5. I'll give it 8.5.
You gotta go back to the bits.
No, just because I feel like it's not a 9, because that's where I'm putting albums like.
Yeah, no, because there's that's the thing with this album is like I really like it, but there's just something about it that just like I know it's not there yet, because I know there's future with this.
Yeah,
I think that's the problem is I'm bracing myself.
But you can still feel like there's something holding it back.
Yeah, I just don't know what it is. And I think it's just because I'm holding up the fact that I feel like what they're doing next is going to be so much more than this, because this just seems like a freshman project, but it's so much more than that. Yeah, which is it's the weird part. Yeah, because it is a freshman project. Yeah, yeah. I enjoyed this though. Nonetheless, it is one of the most interesting rock albums of the last like 5 years, 10 years, decade.
Yeah.